We're good. Okay. Anin, hello, bonjour. My name is Alex Campanolo. I work for EcoSchools Canada, and I'll be facilitating our session this afternoon, the Food Rescue Hero Workshop, as a part of Ecom 2021 on our final day. So to start the session, I have a quick land acknowledgement that I'd like to share, and then we'll get to introductions. So this land acknowledgement is with respect to the fact that Ecom was originally to be hosted in Toronto. So this land acknowledgement addresses that. For the sake of the session, I'm facilitating from Peterborough, which the traditional name is Nogojimanong, which is part of the Williams Treaty, Treaty 20. We acknowledge the traditional territory upon which this conference is being hosted. For many thousands of years, the Huron-Wendat and the Petun First Nations, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississauga of the Credit, have sought to walk gently on this land. This territory is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit, as well as by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe and allied nations to peacefully share and care for the lands and resources around the Great Lakes. This acknowledgement signals our desire to seek a new relationship with the original peoples of this land, one based on honor and deep respect, and is a starting point to remind us all to enact this work in our personal and professional lives. Thank you for everyone's respect during that. And now we have our presenter. We have Rose Barcarse. Thank you for the thumbs up.
You got it.
So Rose is the Community Programs Manager for Second Harvest and works directly with the 250 plus agency Second Harvest supports by providing logistical support, as well as diverting education and training workshops. Delivering education and training workshops. You're not diverting them. She is a certified waste auditor with the Recycling Council of Ontario and currently the lead trainer and facilitator for Second Harvest Training and Education Program. She facilitates 20 to 25 workshops per year, which reaches over 400 participants. We also have Ashley Sikorsky, our Zoom host, the president of the AV Club, making sure everything runs smoothly. Participants, we also have a resource that Rose would like to share. I'll put that in the chat once it seems like the numbers have settled and everyone can access that. And if you have questions or comments, please add them in the chat. We'll have some questions saved to the end. Thank you. Rose, take it from here.
Amazing. Well, thank you, everyone. So I'm going to quickly share my screen. We can get started. Cool. And then let me get myself situated real quickly on my end. Everybody can see the PowerPoint slide, eh? Beautiful. All right, good stuff. Yeah, well, hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be here speaking to you about food waste and how we as educators can bring about food waste best practices to our children. So welcome to our Food Rescue Hero Workshop. Glad you could come. Okay, so this will be the agenda for today. We will learn about the avoidable crisis of food waste in Canada, and then you will gain access to the early copies of our Educator's Guide to Food Waste Prevention. We are very proud of our guide. It is filled with informative, interactive, and out-of-the-box activities to inspire us and our children to reduce food waste at home, at school, and in our communities. And then finally, we will unpack one of my favorite activity. Together, we will do a virtual audit, which will be a lot of fun. But before we begin, I'd love to take a read of the room a little bit to just get an idea of how knowledgeable we are already with the food waste prevention topic. So I would actually love for you guys to head to menti.com and let me just quickly load this up. So head to menti.com for me. And then once you're there, if you could please put answer that first question. That'd be awesome.
Hey, Rose, we lost you for about 10 seconds just then. Do you mind repeating
Yeah,
that last bit?
for sure. I'd
Thanks.
just love to take a read of the room. So if you could head to menti.com for me. Thank you, Ashley, putting that code in the chat. And if you could please answer that first question. You guys can see the question, right? Just want to double check. Beautiful. All right. Oh, we got some food rescue heroes already. We got some people that have some good knowledge on food waste prevention. Good stuff. All right. Okay. So I think we're hovering around fair and good. Ah, this is going to be a good discussion. Okay, fantastic. Maybe give it 2 seconds more, get those things in. We call that bubbles in. That'd be great. I think the numbers have settled down real quick. Oh, we have one more. Okay, beautiful. Sounds good. Okay, so we have around fair or good knowledge on food waste prevention. Fantastic. I'm happy to share additional information and tools to hopefully increase your awareness by the end of this session. Thank you so much for completing that first poll of the session. Let me just get rid of that. Amazing. So let's jump into let's just jump right into it. So in January 2019, Second Harvest invested in some amazing research because we really wanted to better understand the depth and breadth of food loss and waste in Canada. And what we found, well, what we found was pretty darn shocking. So get this. We found that almost 58% of everything that we produce and import in Canada is wasted every single year. That's the equivalent weight of 35.5 million metric tons, or the weight of 350,000 blue whales. And I just want to note here that blue whales are the largest animals in Canada, but also in the entire world. And we're wasting 350,000 in terms of weight poundage of food every single year. That's crazy. When we unpack that a little bit further, we found that 32% of that food that's being wasted is completely avoidable. It's food that you and I would go to the grocery store and be completely happy to buy. That's the equivalent weight of 11.2 million metric tons, or the weight of 90 CN towers. We actually have enough food to feed everyone in Canada, all 37 million of us, for free for almost 5 months. That's the amount of good food that's being wasted in our country every single year. And in schools, unfortunately, most of our schools. So the Recycling Council of Ontario states that on average, Ontario schools generate about 8,500 kilograms of waste per school year, with majority of that waste being organics. So let that sink in a little bit. It's a lot of food being wasted in our schools. So actually, I would love to know from the amazing educators that are here today, have you seen food waste happening in your school or place of work? And if you have, I'm curious, where have you seen it? So I'd love for you to head to Menti again. And let's do another poll. And we can see how much food is being wasted in our school. So I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, does your school or place of work have food waste? And if so, where have you seen food waste happening in your school or place of work? So if you could head to menti.com for me, the code there is 60262178. That would be awesome. Oh, I see that. Yes, a lot. Jump a fair bit. Oh, okay. We have a couple of heroes. Good stuff. Yeah, so about 50% of us are saying that we have a fair bit of food waste happening in our schools. You have about 30 that says only a little. Oh, it's moved a little bit. Now we have over 50. So a lot of food. And if we look at the next question, where have we seen food waste where have we seen food being wasted in our school or place of work? Staff room, cafeteria, classrooms. Oh, we're seeing a lot of staff rooms. In terms of places where that food is being wasted. Food dropped on the floor, food left out. Yeah, I've heard that a lot from teachers, for sure. Snack programs, my goodness, that's another one. I hear a lot with snack programs. With kids not eating surplus food, or they just are not interested, and therefore there's no place for that surplus food. For sure. Schoolyard. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I saw that too. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, there you go. So in our schools as well, we have a lot of good food being wasted, unfortunately. And they're wasted in many places in our schools. When we waste food, we're also wasting a lot of other things. So food costs us something, right? So here are some of them, and I'm pretty sure you know all of this too. We need land. Oh my goodness, we need a lot of land to grow our food. So in Canada, 53%, almost half of our land is devoted to just growing food. And of course, we need some water for the basic reason that our plants need water to grow. But we also need water to ensure that the food safety of our food remains intact. Right? We need energy. My God, we need so much energy in the form of fuel and the form of electricity. Lots of energy is needed to produce our food. And we need labor, right? We need the effort of a lot of good, hardworking people from across the food supply chain. We need farmers, we need factory workers, we need drivers, we need retailers, all working together to ensure that good food gets to us. But I think when we waste food, we waste all of these resources for sure. But the one resource that hits home to many of us, I think, is this one. It's the loss of money. So get this. In Canada, our food loss and waste cost a whopping $50 billion frickin' dollars every single year. Looking up per household, in Canada, we waste $1,776 per year in our households. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that we could use for many things. And so I'm actually curious. Let's say in a magical land, and I gave you all of you, $2,000. What would you do with $2,000? In the chat, let me know. What would you do with $2,000, folks? Would you go on a trip post-COVID, of course? Pay off student loans? With you, 100%. Buy 2 sheets of plywood? Yeah, I'm curious what you're gonna use the plywood for. Sounds good. Pay rent. Yeah, my God, the rent prices have just really skyrocketed in the city for sure. Travel? Yeah, for sure. What else would people do with $2,000 in savings every single year? Oh, raised beds in the backyard. Yeah, for sure. To grow your own food. Amazing. Yes. 100% Alex, love that. Oh, same with Ash. Perfect. Home improvement. Yeah, right. Save it for the kids. Go on vacation. Save it for a rainy day. Lots of infinitely better ways, to use our $2,000 instead of throwing it down the drain, for sure, 100%. Oh, Farah, I love that. Yeah, a raised bed. Why not? Get that fresh veggies during the summertime harvest time. Love it. Okay, so you might be thinking, vertical gardens. My God, me too. I would love to actually have that one of these days in my garden. I think that would be really fantastic to save on space and also maximize the amount of harvest and growth that small spaces have. Good stuff. Yeah, all good stuff. Buy chickens? I'm with you. I'm with you. Fresh eggs? I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay. Yeah. See, a lot of $2,000 can really go a long way, but yet we're wasting that amount every single year. So this might lead to the next question. So you might be thinking, all right, Rose, with the COVID pandemic and lots of people struggling, could we give surplus food to people in need? And the answer to that is a resounding absolutely. And here's why, right? So before the COVID pandemic even began, 1 in 8 Canadians live in a household that was food insecure. Since the COVID pandemic began, 1 in 7 Canadians have indicated that they live in a household that is food insecure. That means over 5.6 million Canadians struggle to put enough food on the table. And so I think you and I can agree a little bit on this, that it makes sense, right? It makes a lot of sense to redirect surplus food that's still edible, that's still good for us, destined to landfill, to people that are in need. So, how do we tackle food waste as educators? Well, we have developed a resource just for you. So I'm so excited to introduce our Educator's Guide to Food Waste Prevention. The guide is filled with 10 interactive, informative, out-of-the-box activities that will inspire children to reduce food waste at home, at school, and in their communities. And here they are. So from growing food scraps to busting food date label myths, the Educator's Guide will support your children in becoming agents of change. And what's really cool about the Educator's Guide is that we have developed it to support educators at large, whether you might be a teacher, a parent, a guardian, camp leaders, community program leads, anyone who would like to bring a food waste lens into their lesson plans and engage children in food waste prevention. So activities 1 to 5 is geared towards younger children, so ages grades 1 to 5, ages around 6 to 10. And then activities 6 to 10 is geared towards our older children, so grades 6 to 8, around ages 11 and 13. And what's really cool about each of the activity is that we have included indicators if an activity is more suitable at camp. So let me quickly snapshot that. So you'll see the icons at the top. So this is at camp, at home, at school. So you'll know how to pivot, so to speak, the activity to your environment. We will also we have also unpacked there with that you see up there materials that you will need to do the activity as well as how to facilitate it. We have included some discussion questions to generate discussions among your children. We've also included lesson extensions to keep the engagement going. I think my favorite part of all of the activities is this part, right? With the COVID pandemic, I feel like all of us are teaching from home and we have become pros with online learning. So we have included a section on online class learning to help educators run the activity or augment the activity using an online platform. We have also signs at the very bottom for any curriculum links. So we're hoping that that can help you in developing your own lesson plans. And then children can also earn what we call food rescue points along the way. So our Banana Man is our mascot, and he gives out food rescue points to any child who would join him in his fight to reduce food waste. So the more points that children accumulate, the closer they are to becoming our ultimate food rescue heroes, so that they can help us save our planet and prevent more good food from going to waste. So all good stuff. Okay, so then how do you access our amazing free online educators resource? So the first thing that you have to do, my friends, is head to training.secondharvest.ca. And then once you're there, head off to the top right-hand corner where it says login and complete a very short account info. Provide us with a short account info. Thank you, Alex, for that link on the chat to create an account. And then once you're there, head to the food waste prevention course category at the very bottom of the page. We also have materials around food safety and nutrition and food literacy. So if you are interested in those topics as well, feel free to peruse around. And then once you're in there, voila, here we go. So we have uploaded an early version of the Educator's Guide for Food Waste Prevention. You can begin accessing the 10 activities in the guide and all of the supporting materials. So printable supporting materials are located in the materials library of our guide. And we also have a pager for online training with all of the web links and links to videos that we have specifically produced for this guide. So the official launch of the Educator's Guide is not until April 28th, which is Stop the Food Waste Day. But we wanted to share an early access to all of you so that you could start reaping the benefits. So please head to training.secondharvest.ca and get access to our Educator's Guide. Oh, okay. Oh, where am I? Beautiful. Okay, so here's a really fun thing that we'll do. I'm a waste auditor, so for me, this is my favorite activity. So let's go through it together. Let me just quickly situate myself here. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Okay, so let's take some time to unpack one of my favorite activities. It's activity 6, understanding how to measure our food waste. So most of us probably waste a lot of food, more food than what we realize. And the best way to determine how much food that we waste and the reasons why is to do a food waste audit. So grab a few buckets, grab a weight scale, luggage scale works well here too, log sheets, which is provided in the Educator's Guide, and let's get measuring. You will be surprised, I think, by what you find. So the food waste audit is a very interactive activity. So if you will be all over this, 100%. And it can really be broken down into 4 distinct categories. So we have plan, do, review, and then action. So make sure to involve your children every step of the way. Okay, so let's provide a brief overview. In plan, the first thing you have to do is choose your food waste audit champions. And these are the folks that will be leading your audit. Second thing you want to do is choose how long you want to do the audit. So we recommend 5 days to get a good measurement if possible. And then 3 and 4 there is pick a time and place to do your audit. We recommend choosing lunchtime and setting up your sorting area close to where people are eating. So perhaps in the cafeteria or the mess hall or the kitchen. But be sure to get permission to run the audit first and foremost. So if you are doing it at home and you want to do this virtually with your children, make sure mom and dad has a say and an approval to set up a sorting station in that kitchen for sure. And then that last step in plan is ask your children to gear up and gather all of the materials that they need. So you will need about 2 to 3 large containers, rubber gloves, weight scale, audit logs. I would highly recommend getting a tarp as well to keep everything nice and clean. Pencils, cameras, 100% on the camera. And educators, we've provided log sheets for you to download as well in our training portal. So feel free to access that to support you in this activity. Perfect. Okay, so in doing the audit, keep it simple, nice and simple. So have children label the containers with avoidable food waste. I'm actually really curious in the chat. Does anybody know the difference between avoidable and unavoidable food waste? In the chat, let me know. What is the difference between avoidable and unavoidable food waste? Or give me an example if it's easier. Of unavoidable, can't eat it, chicken bones, 100%. Yeah, Jason, for sure. Yeah, unavoidable could be things like apple core. Yeah, peels is unavoidable, exactly. And organic waste. Oh, that's interesting, Alex. Okay, let's unpack that in a little bit for sure. Veggie scraps, yeah. So it's things, so unavoidable food waste are things that we normally don't technically eat. So like vegetable peels, animal bones, like scraps from food, like onion peels, cores from fruits, coffee grounds. Yeah, oh, but yes, do put it in your garden for sure, says Harveen. Fantastic fertilizer, coffee grounds, 100%. You could also use that as a facial mask if you're really into it. Apparently it plumps your face. So I challenge you all to try that next time you have coffee grounds. Perfect. Okay, awesome stuff. So then what you do after you, oh, let me go back. So after you've marked the containers, then you're going to ask your children to conduct a very short interview of the person throwing the surplus food if possible, right? Ask questions that are very specific. So if the person that's throwing the food says it's gross, that's not necessarily helpful. What is it about that product? What is it about that food that they found gross, right? And then the fourth step, my favorite step in do, is you start sorting. Once the containers are filled, measure the weights and count the number of containers that are full. And then make sure that you note any types of food that are wasted and take a bunch of photos. The grosser the food, oh, the better the reaction at the end when you review all of your data. All good stuff. Okay, and then when you get to review, which is where the fun stuff is also, I think, in my book. So as a group, review the data that you've collected, make colorful graphs of the data, create a storyboard with the pictures that you took, all that good stuff. Celebrate the hard work of sorting by reviewing that data and sharing that data with anybody that was part of the audit and beyond. Okay, and then finally, the last part is action. This is honestly where the magic happens, right? Review your data and come up with an action plan, a battle plan, so to speak, to reduce your food waste in whatever location that you're currently in. My favorite part of the audit. I know I feel like I've been saying favorite part throughout the entire audit process. I just love that activity. But if I had to choose one, it would be an action for sure. Okay, so why don't we do an audit? Let's do something together really fun virtually. So we've already planned out the audit. So our teacher said, we're going to do an audit for 5 days. We're going to do it in the classroom. We are going to do it during lunchtime. We've already gathered all of materials. And for each of the day, we have 2 champions that are helping us sort as well as do interviews. Okay. Perfect. So we have set up our buckets here. So we're really only interested in avoidable, but we can add a bucket for unavoidable food waste because you really don't want any food ending up in landfill. So might as well capture that so that we're not creating methane gas, which is what happens when food is left in landfill. You could also have a recycling bucket there. Lots of food containers are recyclable. So for anything that is recyclable, feel free to capture that so that you can recycle it. And then of course we have trash for anything else that doesn't fit in any of the other buckets. Beautiful. Okay, so for this part of my presentation, I'd actually love two brave volunteers to come and join me. So let's see how I can do this. Perfect. So if you wouldn't mind volunteering, that would be great. So it would only take you 2 minutes. It's easy peasy, I promise. And if you're interested, if you could raise your hand, that would be amazing. And maybe we can come to you.
Rose, I just have one quick comment. Some folks have logged into the website, and I don't know if they're expected to get any downloadable material or a PDF, but they seem to not be able to download that.
Oh, good question. So when you get to, you should be creating an account first. Then once you've created an account, you log in through your account. And then from there, you will see a dashboard with all of the information that you could access. So if you can, can you guys see what I'm sharing right now in terms of?
Yeah, so we get, I think people get this far and they're saying that they're unable to register for that course.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. We register for it. So it should, you guys can see me going around in this like website. Just want to make sure that, are you seeing currently what I'm seeing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So once you get in, is everybody getting stuck over here? Oh, interesting. Because you should be, okay, then you know what? Wait until the end of this workshop, and then I'll quickly double check the back end. We did do a quick test yesterday and it worked well. So I'm curious why you're unable to access, but, oh, can you do that page fine? So can you enter, when you enter the course, can you guys see this? It doesn't work. Okay, you know what, guys, educators, give me until the end of this workshop and let me troubleshoot that. Thank you for letting me know, because I want to be, I want to make sure that you can access and reap the benefits of all of that. So give me until the end of this workshop and we can rock and roll with the educator's guide right after. Beautiful. So we have, oh, perfect. We have, oh, I'm going to butcher your name, Ariana. Okay, and if I could have one more volunteer, that would be amazing. Oh, sorry, Ariana. I think you're muted, my friend.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Amazing. Oh, and we have Elizabeth and we have Ariana. Good stuff. All right, my friends. So what I would love for you guys to do is to help me sort our food today. So Elizabeth, you'll be our first volunteer, and Ariana, you're our second one. So what we'll do is, imagine we are at school and I am the person that didn't eat all of my food, and this is the food that I haven't eaten, unfortunately. So Elizabeth, I'm going to go to you. So I'm going to ask you to do the interview portion, and then Ariana, I'd ask you to do the sorting after. So Elizabeth, I'm going to ask you to imagine me coming to you with half-eaten of everything on my plate. So I have half eaten of a banana, half eaten of that broccoli, just did not finish my food. So I'd love for you to ask me the reasons why, and be very specific too. Okay, so you ready?
I think so. Okay. So Rose, I see that you left pretty much all of your lunch. What was, do you not have anything that you really like? Do you have something that's your favorite on this tray that you would really like?
You know what? I really didn't like any of it.
Okay. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is orange, but my mom always gives me like orange because she knows that I like it, but I really don't like carrots. So I didn't eat all of my carrots because I think they taste weird.
Okay. One thing I usually do with my kinders is I say, how old are you? And then they'll say 4, and I'll say, well, how about you take 4 bites because you're 4? And then one for good luck because you're going to be 5. So I try to go with that.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
I love
uh,
I love
sorry?
that. So what we'll do actually for the interview process is we're not going to be sharing tips. Although
Okay, sorry.
no, 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 no.
No,
This
because
is
I was gonna say, how old are you? But I wasn't sure you'd want to tell us your age, so.
I am young. I'm more on the younger side. But how this will work is the student will go up to another student and the interviewer will just be like, may I ask why you didn't finish the banana? And then the student who's wasting the banana would be like, it's spotted, not loving it. So yeah, so let's go at it one more time and you'll just ask that first question you see on the slide. May I ask why you didn't finish banana?
Okay, may I ask why you didn't finish your sandwich?
It's really stale, the bread. I'm like channeling my like younger cousins here. Like the bread is really stale and the coleslaw inside tastes a little icky.
um,
Does that sound familiar to folks?
may I ask why you didn't drink your milk?
Oh, you know what? I was looking at the date on the milk and I think it's expired.
Did you try it?
Yeah, it tastes a little funky. Tastes a little sour.
Um, may I ask why you didn't try your, is that beans? Beans?
It's too watery. There's too much water on the darn beans. Oh, I guess kids don't say darn, eh? Okay. It's too watery. I think it needs to be drier.
So am I supposed to ask, may I ask for all of them? Or can
Yeah.
I just ask any, okay.
So yeah, but that just gives you a flavor, I think, right?
Okay, yeah.
The child goes up to another child who's the food waste champion for that day. That champion is asking why that food item wasn't eaten. And there's a part in the log sheet where where the champion actually writes all of the reasons why the food was not wasted. So great job, Elizabeth. We're gonna head off to Ariana. So same deal, my friend. So now Elizabeth is passing over my uneaten lunch and it's your job to sort it. So where would you put all of those food items?
All right, so with my handy dandy gloves, I'm gonna start with the banana. The banana peel is gonna go into the unavoidable, and then whatever's left of the actual banana itself will go into avoidable. The entire sandwich will go into avoidable. I'm not sure what's in the next one. I don't know if that's like a soup or if those are like canned peaches. Who knows? I can't actually tell from this perspective, but the contents will go into avoidable. The container itself, if it's styrofoam, will probably end up going into the trash. The milk will go into avoidable, but the container itself will get broken down and put into the recycling. The beans, the carrots, and the broccoli will also all go into avoidable. And depending on the school and what that is, if it's just a paper container, if it's got a waxy layer to it, it might end up having to go in the trash because you can't recycle it. But it depends on what the local laws are. And so it's either the trash or the recycling.
Oh my God, Ariana, you're a friggin' superstar. Okay, I love Perfect. Well, thank you, volunteers. That was amazing. So it's pretty simple, I would think, to do a food waste audit. So well done, volunteers. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. And so, yeah, you would do the same for any other lunch that would come up during the audit, for sure. And then once you're all done, you can kind of create really amazing graphs. So at the end of our 5 weeks, 5 days, not 5 weeks, 5 days together, we generated 50 pounds of food waste and filled 15 containers. Looking at our data, it seems like we've produced a lot of produce, or we wasted a lot of produce and meat items. So that's interesting. And so here's the summary, right? In 5 days, these were our top 5 reasons why our classroom wasted food. My food was cold. That's a really funny one. And yeah, here's the summary at the end. And this is the power. This is the power of the food waste audit. because it's knowing all of this, you can then create an action plan. And then when you're developing an action plan, here are some best practices. The first one is always start with source reduction. Creating less food is the best number one step. So think of ways that you can reduce food waste in the first place. So it might be sending a communication to parents saying that, hey, this was the results of the audit. Is there any way that we can kind of pivot a little bit? Maybe if one of the reasons why food was wasted was just so much food, maybe it's less food, you know? If one of the reasons is, what is it? One of the reasons is my food was too cold, maybe having a microwave in the cafeteria or the classroom, so to speak. Maybe that's a really good one. So as the second most important thing that you should do, if I could ask folks to do it, is to give to people that are in need. Second Harvest has actually launched an app called foodrescue.ca that connects schools directly to social agencies. So if you create something like a sharing table and there's surplus food in that sharing table, get on the app and a social agency down the corner will come and get that food and give it to folks that are in need. Feed animals. This is also another one. We often connect with a lot of pig farms at Second Harvest. So any surplus food that our agencies cannot eat or cannot utilize, it goes to a pig farm. Industrial uses might be a little bit of a stretch for schools, but fun fact, there's actually a biogas farm that's just recently created called ZooShare. And they take Toronto poop, like Toronto Zoo poop, and food waste, and they create amazing fertilizer and energy for the Ontario grid. And then finally, you compost. And if you absolutely cannot do it, that's the only time that we can incinerate or landfill. So I would encourage you to head to our training.secondharvest.ca. I will make sure that there is access for all of you right as soon as I finish this. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I will blame it on COVID and Mercury retrograde. That's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, please head there and reap the benefits of our Educator's Guide to Food Waste Prevention. And thank you so much for having me. It was good to speak to all of you.
Rose, I have a question for you.